For the first time since, I want to say, the summer of 2017, so I will. I think Falcons fans are the most excited about their quarterback in almost a decade. You could argue about last year with Kirk Cousins, and there was definitely some excitement surrounding him, but there was still a fair amount of fans out there who were, skeptical at best about Cousins coming off the injury and his age. Whereas this year with Michael Penix Jr., I feel like this is the most amount of fans who are bought in on the quarterback since Matt Ryan coming off his MVP season. So let's talk about that on this edition of Falcons Today. Matthew Peterson here, filming from my kitchen, which I'll be doing for the next month or so. But I want to talk all about Michael Penix Jr. because there has been a lot of chatter out there that he's the breakout star. I mean, how many times have you just gone on Twitter, gone online, just searched Falcons, just wanted to see something about your team, and one of the first things that pops up is Michael Penix Jr. is the breakout candidate for the Falcons this year. Michael Penix Jr. is going to be a star this season, right? And those are very fun things to hear and to see and to read. It's also worth noting that in June, you're not going to get a lot of hard-pressing news out there, so that resorts to, people like me having to, I wouldn't say scrape to the bottom of the barrel, but try to get creative with things that can generate some interest, some clicks and whatnot. But this is a subject that I think has a lot of truth behind it. And I don't think this is just a clicks-based topic of, all right, what are we going to talk about today? Well, people like Michael Penix. All right, whether you believe it or not, let's all go out there and say he's going to be a star this year because people are going to want to click on that. I say that because I believe it. I was a big fan of Penix coming out of Washington. I felt like he was one of the more underappreciated prospects because the biggest cons were his age and the medical history. And while I can't speak to him having a perfect, clean bill of health moving forward because that's out of my control and, it's a bit of a, crapshoot, I will speak to the age part and say, sure, he's not your prototypical 20, 21-year-old, rookie or second-year guy, but look around the NFL, you see so many quarterbacks have maybe their best years in their late 30s at times. So I have reason to believe that, sure, even at 24, 25 as a rookie for Penix or a sophomore, he can still play at a high level for 13, 14, 15 years. And yeah, even if it's not 16, 17, or 18 years, I'll still take 13, 14 great years out of him. But let's not dive too deep into that. I want to talk about Penix a little bit more detailed here. So RG3, and I'll put this on screen, he put out a tweet talking about Penix going to be the breakout star this year. And then he talked about some of the advanced analytics. We don't have a huge sample size to go off of from last year for Penix. He only started 3 games. He had a really nice first throw in the Broncos game when he filled in for Cousins in the last few minutes after the game was sealed shut. But those 3 games, it didn't give us a ton of baseline stats to look at and go, this guy's a star in the making, right? He didn't throw 10 touchdowns or anything like that. It wasn't like he was lighting up the box score. But when you dig a little bit deeper, and I'll put this on screen now, some of the advanced analytics from last year, and where you can see where he ranked when he was on the field with some of the best quarterbacks out there, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Lamar. There is a fair amount of excitement to be had, and it's justified, I believe. Penix showed us what we wanted to see, and I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Michael Penix, in his 3 starts last year, showed the fans, showed the coaches, showed his teammates, he's not going to be a different quarterback in the NFL than he was in college. And that right there is what makes me the most excited about Penix this year. A lot of times you see quarterbacks go from college to the pros and maybe the coaching or maybe themselves just taper down a little bit and try and take some of that, spunk out of them and dial it back out of fear of too many turnovers, right? Playing within the new system. And I feel like that is not really a good thing for a lot of quarterbacks if you have to take away what their biggest strength was. And for Penix in college, that was the deep ball. And I really enjoyed watching him last year not shy away from the deep ball. Like, the guy was not afraid to spray the ball downfield. And it would have sucked to see him get to the Falcons and the coaching staff go, hey, we know that's what you did so well last year and the year before that, but we're not interested in you putting the ball in harm's way. We're going to have you play Falcons football. We're going to play short. We're going to play over the middle, right? We're not going to push the ball down the field too much. That would have sucked to see. And I was reading an article from The Athletic, quick sidebar here, and talked about Daniel Jones and his failure, with the Giants, and it talked about how in his second year with Jason Garrett and Joe Brady, no, not Joe Brady, what's the old Giants head coach? I'm blanking on his name, from New England, special teams guy. Anyway, he's so forgettable now. He talked about how Jason Garrett neutered Daniel Jones and made him a much more shell of himself type of quarterback. And he never really broke out of that shell even after that regime left. And so when I talk about Penix with people and I get asked, hey, do you think Penix is going to be a great quarterback this year? I'm going to say yes with a spine, because I thought he was great at Washington. He was the Heisman runner-up. And he gets to the NFL, and in 3 games, doesn't look like he changed a whole lot from college. And that's what I love to see. That's why you took him 8th overall, because he's got incredible deep accuracy and velocity to his passes. And you let him be him. And for that reason, above many other reasons, I am so excited for Penix this year. You can look at some of the deep dive analytical numbers and a small-ish sample size last year. I'll call small sample size. But throw the numbers out. Let's just talk ball for a second. You saw a quarterback last year who didn't shy away from what he did in college. And now you give him a full offseason as the starting quarterback, meaning he's out there every single day working with the ones. He's out there throwing to Darnell Mooney and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I think give him a whole offseason of that and a coaching staff that hopefully has a good head on their shoulders. And I say hopefully because there were moments last year where it didn't look that way. That might be the one thing where I'm a bit skeptical. Is Raheem Morris going to let time just tick away and not burn a timeout and give Penix more opportunities to throw the ball into the end zone? Is Zach Robinson going to put Penix in the pistol every single time he wants to throw and put him in shotgun every single time he wants to run? That got predictable last year with Kirk Cousins. I'm choosing to believe that the Cousins side is just unique to Cousins when it comes to Robinson's play calling and play designing, and with Penix that won't be the case. But Raheem, you better be playing a lot of Madden because you have to learn how to call a timeout. So that's today's episode. I felt like it could be a good time to just talk about Penix, but more in an appropriate light and not just say he's going to be great because, well, I just wanted to be great because it's June 17th and there's not a whole lot to talk about today. No, I want to come at this from a two-side approach, two-front war. The smallish sample size that showed us a lot of positivity last year and a lot of the talking heads like RG3, who I think know a thing or two about playing quarterback, being really upbeat about 9. But also, in that small sample size, what the eye test told me. And the eye test told me that's a quarterback who is playing the position the way he's always played it. And it worked out great for him. And you might want to tweak a thing or two, but you're not going to change the framework. You're not going to, completely rip out the guts of that building and install a whole new blueprint. No. You're going to keep not the frame the same. You're going to keep almost all of it the same. If you want to paint a different bedroom inside, okay, that's fine. But don't lose the DNA of Michael Penix as a quarterback. And they didn't do that last year. And I'm excited to see him completely, unleashed for all of 2025. And everything we saw at Washington carry over to the next level. And this is where you kind of stick your neck out and you can't say definitively, but I think that carryover is going to bring a lot of success. And that's when the jury will have to decide. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode and you're still watching right now, scroll on down, drop an ATL. I really appreciate it, by the way, all the super kind comments from the last video. I checked those out, so it really means a lot to me to see such uplifting comments. So I appreciate everyone, and I'll see everyone later.